Her name is Kitty Pryde, so it makes sense for at least one point in her career to be a kitty for a little bit. Cat-like physiology, but that's none of my business. Imagine being an intangible being and you pretend to be a ghost to the point where it's believable because shots like this go right through her. Walking down a dark alley is no problem for her because you won't be able to touch her. She can literally phase somebody out of somebody else's grip. If they can't get out the grip, she can phase inside of a car, make the car intangible, and make everybody else in the car solid so they will just slide out the car instantly. Just go inside of your hovercraft and yank the crap out of it so it won't work right because of her intangibility. In hostage situations, she can phase the hostages through the floor before they even know what was going on. Someone that's pretending to be her, a scroll her, she can pull them through a mirror. If a big explosion's about to happen, one could say she's their guardian angel, to where even if it's a massive explosion, if you're all touching her, all of this will not matter at all because she can just make all y'all intangible. Even if Apocalypse is attacking you, she can save your life to where he can't even hit you. Or if she's just having fun and wants to make her and her jet ski go intangible, she can. And just kind of lurk on y'all business while she's just floating through, passing through like it ain't nothing. Bruh. And for some reason, she can wield Magic's soul sword. Even she's confused about how is this happening. Well, that's Kitty Pryde for you. Let's get this video started. She's physically strong enough to pick up spikes like this and throw it hard to do all of this BS. Kitty Pryde likes to pretend to be the Phoenix even though she's not. Let me stop. When I was younger, I always thought intangibility was a cheap ability because it seemed cheap because how do you even have a threat if you can always just go through stuff and become unhittable by all means? Kitty Pryde, the X-Men, is one of those characters that seem like that. She has limits to it, though. Like, it gets tougher to phase when she's tired, which makes sense, implying she needs rest. But I guess she still needs air when she phases, apparently. She's physically intangible. That doesn't mean mind type of beings. Telepathy or mind manipulation can't hit her while she's intangible. Some comic writers are drunk enough to make it to where she has trouble phasing through adamantium sometimes, but other times she's phased through Wolverine claws before. It makes sense for some mystical demon type creatures to be able to hit her while she's phasing. So magic users she might have issues with, like the being known as Magic. I have a video about that has a soul sword. It can actually hit her too. Even she be surprised by this type of stuff. I would say Magic might be her ultimate counter to this phasing ability because depending on who they are, they can inhibit her phasing ability. Even a Skrull Adam Warlock can interfere with it. If you're another person that can phase, that's another way you can hit her. But for the most part, she can phase practically do anything, but there are definitely exceptions to the rule. And it's one of those abilities you don't really need other stuff to your advantage to be a threat. How do you fight somebody you can't touch? At first, I didn't know if I wanted to do a video about Kitty Pryde because analyzing somebody that can just walk through walls, how fun would that be, right? One could also call her Shadow Cat. She has the mutant ability known as phasing. She can become intangible and pass through any solid object. Can use this power to disrupt electrical circuits and program computers by physically entering them. Yeah, that hacks it. If she's falling and she concentrates hard enough, she can walk on air, apparently, with phasing. They explain it like she can walk on individual molecules of air. So in a way, you could say she kind of can fly. And if you're holding her, she can make you kind of fly, like on this occasion with Colossus. And if you pull the ground from under her, that won't necessarily work anymore. The trapdoor opens, but she does not fall. I know it's hard to imagine, but in a weird way, she can kind of fly like how she can just go to the highest floor. Only limitation is that it needs concentration constantly. She's one of those mini mutants in Marvel Comics to where at a young age, she discovered she had an ability and started getting headaches. And her headaches was the result of her mutant power manifesting during puberty. Professor X located her with this Cerebro device and recruited her as a new member of the X-Men, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, the X-Men are a beast organization. She's one of those characters that went through natural progression, getting better with her abilities as time went on. Because there was a point where she didn't know how to use her abilities that good, but if she eventually got way better at doing it. And when you do a deep dive on how her abilities actually work, she has a power to slip the atoms of her own body through the spaces between the atoms of all the objects around her. So that's some kind of scientific explanation of her abilities, I guess. Can you imagine getting changed? You can literally go intangible and slip out of your clothes very fast by phasing out of your clothes. She's been out for a while, so she's been on quite a bit of adventures, getting her different names or code names. Yeah, finding out who she is, meeting different folks, mental battles and struggles, which also honed her skills to progress her. Eventually adapting the name of Shadow Cat, since she been hanging out with characters like Magic a lot. Of course, she's wielded the Soul Sword for a hot second. Had a fling with Colossus, got a special intangible phase suit, became Star-Lord. Yeah. with the weapons and everything. Led the X-Men at one point, or other type of organizations. Talk about character progression and evolution and different adventures she's been on. Yeah, a lot of stuff she's went through. The thing that helps her be a really good hero is the fact that she can phase others to where they pretty much become intangible to where they can't get hurt either. Her phasing has like a scientific involvement with technology when it comes to the magnetic flux type of stuff. This is one of those abilities that's terrifying. Because you imagine not being able to turn it off though, and you actually got to focus all the time to just stay solid. That would be terrifying. When you just fall through the earth or something. Have you ever wondered how strong she is physically without her intangibility ability? Like, she's an X-Men, so she has to have other aspects about herself. I mean, we've seen her kick a scroll before, physically, uses chairs as improv. Cool Spider-Man team-ups where Spider-Man literally threw her like a baseball to launch her into some goons. Rogue threw her through stuff. Fastball special will do the wrestling move known as the spear from Goldberg on people. Let me stop. In this occasion, she was dressed up as the Phoenix. Don't ask. Not afraid to slam different entities. Hey, you, get your head slammed to the wall. She actually has some decent accuracy with throwing knives. Actually fights a group of ninja. Yeah, she's the one with the red mask on, by the way. And they were getting mopped. One of the best fighters in comic history, Wolverine, she's even got training from. So she's not just intangibility. Little pieces of lore like this is what makes characters interesting, if that makes sense, because Wolverine naturally has a ridiculously large amount of fighting experience. They even say grow stronger. They both do, because she was needing help not having nightmares and stuff. Wolverine was basically honing and shaping her mind for mind games and stuff, because that's training too. She hated him for it, but it was coming in handy. Nice and intricate. Extensively long combat practice with Wolverine. You see the type of training these X-Men be doing. Like, you see her in this like gymnastics area, weightlifting area, you know, squirrels that like to pretend to be everybody else. She uses her skills to flip certain beings by using their weight against them, and beings like Magic, who are good swordsmen and good fighters on their own, she can flip. When it comes to just skills in general, characters like Storm, aka Aurora, has taught her how to get out of certain knots only she can do. She's got severe mental training by other beings like Ogun in martial art to show the amount of depth when it comes to her fighting abilities she has, mental and physical. Plenty of evidence of stuff like this when it comes to this. Plenty of panels and depth as time passes. That's the reason why she's the way she is. She knows Israeli Special Forces training. One of the best swordsmen in Marvel history, Silver Samurai, say her swordsmanship might be better than Logan's, aka Wolverine's. I mean, you know she's a well-trained being and she hanging out with Silver Samurai and swordsmanship and stuff. So it's quite obvious she has sufficient skills with a blade. There's no debunking that after seeing all this to prove it, not really relying on her powers. And yes, she has ballet training, part of her using her intangibility with her fighting skills to get the jump on characters like Emma. With a cheap shot punch through the mirror and kick through the wall, using your ability and fighting skills together like this is almost impossible to fight. Because even if you manage to grab her, she would just go intangible and y'all both go through the floor and throw the person off balance. And you get kicked Brood. And Little Ice, you get slammed. What's scary is when she uses her phasing with combat skills or with her fighting speed, reflexes, like having the reflexes to save civilians from debris by making them intangible as crap so they won't accidentally get hit by stray debris. Even when she knows for a fact somebody's going to try to bind her while she's going in her ghostly form, she still can counter it with her reflexes in time to not be hit. She pretty much said, why the heck would I even allow that? Reflexes to go intangible before the door actually can hit her, kick from Spider-Man. They say instinct phasing. For a little while, her code name was Ariel, which is the reason why you see her name being stated as Ariel right here instead of being called Kitty or Katherine. Surprise falling objects, she can phase in time before getting hit and reacts to a demon monster just with straight dodging it. They even talk about how fast she is reflex-wise. Now, I know her intangibility has limits and she's not immune to psionic attacks, but that doesn't mean just because you have psionic attacks, that's an automatic win either. I mean, it would be weird for Professor X not to teach his folks about psychic defenses, which Professor X has taught Kitty, of course. So just because you have psychic attacks doesn't mean you're going to automatically get a win against her. In this occasion, you can see her willpower. This is an occasion where she cannot rely on her phasing, thinking that without her powers she would fail. She has other aspects about her other than her ability and resisted them anyway. Thanks to her mentality. All that training with Wolverine paid off, right? Like in this example, how she was pretty much ranting about how she could feel Jean in her mind. She's able to stay intangible even after being hit by some psychic bull crap. So it lets you know it's not an end-all be-all. I wouldn't say her durability is up there with Colossus or nobody, or heck, I wouldn't even say she's a bulletproof type of level being, but if she does get hit while not intangible, she's not just made of glass. Like from time to time, she has been actually hit physically before, like by these optic blasts, and she didn't die. And being hit through the floor. It also helps that her mutant metabolism burns through sedatives really quickly. Now let's talk about how dangerous her phasing can be when you actually use it destructively in combat. She can literally just go in your body and crush your heart. That's cheating. It seems that she can just go intangible on somebody and cause them great pain. Can you imagine Kitty phasing you into a solid ground and then making you solid in the ground? It would make you splat instantly. Yeah, you can think about the brutal stuff she can do to you with this ability. Can phase your head into a rock, will literally put the gun in your head. Imagine her solidifying it in your head. Characters like Hulk, she can't match physically, so she puts him into the ground. Hulk's one of those characters where it doesn't make him splat when you put him in the ground, though. If there's like a literal seed in your body, she can phase it out of your body and pull it out like an operator. She can straight up phase through explosions. So whatever durability her physical body lacks, it doesn't really matter how big the explosion is if she can just go intangible and not be hit by it at all. Huge bullets that's about to hit the earth, she can kind of phase the whole thing. Seems to take a lot of concentration though. She can still phase this big bull crap through the earth. I will admit, something this big, it does seem like it takes a lot of work. This is actually pretty cool. She doesn't need doors, she would just dive through the floor. Or a whole bunch of traps trying to hit her, she would just walk through it all. Like this is something slight. Gunfire and swords, storms lightning goes through her. Her phase ability is the reason why she can touch beings like Rogue and not get her life force absorbed instantaneously. Can literally reach into an ATM for money, which is straight up not ethical. If she's working on equipment and stuff, she doesn't have to use a hammer to nail them down. She can phase them in there and to make them solid to where they're just stuck. Giant satellites that are falling, they will not hit her. Even going through alien material. And doing so with Colossus. She can go through Colossus and bullets can go through her too. In the security grids, all this stuff just goes through her. Like, she literally doesn't need super strength. She can just jam her hands and stuff and make it solid for 2 seconds, then break it to pretty much bust stuff up. Yes, even intangible type of stuff, one could say it's kind of intangible. Energy go through her. She can phase into locks and mess them up that way. And even free beings like Wolverine from cages by just going through the lock. Her phasing seems to be able to mess up electrical type stuff, like messing up this engine and not making it function right. She phased right through the engine block, so she actually put her hand through the gun to mess it up, put her hand through the door to short circuit the door, can damage internal circuitry, can make stuff go haywire by just putting her hands through the systems and jacking it up. She's defeated Sentinels by using her abilities in offensive ways by jamming this pole into a Sentinel, then solidifying it. Nanites even have problems touching her in her intangible state, just to let you know. Oh, what do you know? A scroll electrical system she messes up. Or the systems of a ship. She's like the #1 character I would have go up against robots to short circuit them real fast. That seems to be something she seems to be real good at. I mean, think about it. She did destroy her own alarm clock. You'd be surprised how smart these characters are when they're not talking about just the power. She can hack good enough to take over a Sentinel, break through Xavier's encryptions. Look at her locking her fingers like, let's get it. Hack into other folks' computers. Miss Pryde did teach advanced computational theory, make her a module copy to broadcast energy patterns and be in disguise. Say it with me, it wouldn't be a Marvel comic book character without a temporary power-up. Yep, you got it. She's gotten aka a temporary power-up from the Black Vortex to get ascended powers better than ever before. They pretty much explained how some gave up their humanity for great power with the Black Vortex. Yeah, she got very powered up. They explain it like she let herself be transformed into something cosmic, to the point everything in the universe felt small to her. She was so cosmic, she was bigger than galaxies. You see her hand. She phased through galaxies and transcended the multiverse, touched the consciousness of an infinite number of Kitty Prydes throughout the multiverse. I knew what they knew, felt what they felt, basically becoming a cosmic being. She was so cosmic and mighty that she was able to phase, or one can say make an entire planet intangible. See how her eyes are in the sky like a cosmic? Images like this just look cosmic in scale and crazy. Bigger than the planet itself. Yeah, so it's hard to believe there was a point where Kitty was above our favorite characters, Hulk, Thor, and etc. and Superman and stuff. I mean, look how Groot was looking. You gotta love these temporary type of power-ups. I mean, I guess it's good they don't last forever because it would kind of break continuity. But at the end of the day, she can't stay like this. So this was like more than likely a temporary thing and let the adventures continue. But she's strong even without temporary power-ups, wouldn't you say, right? It's crazy to imagine her adventures leading her up to being a Star-Lord. Chilling with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot, Drax, and even a Venom, Rocket, and the Thing and stuff with the guns. having all the gear and everything, rocket boots, blah, 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 adding all this stuff with her intangibility not being able to be hid, making her an even more difficult foe. Still being able to do the classic stuff like phasing through technology and disrupting it. Drax even calls her a fine warrior, just hanging out, but what do you guys think? Low-key looking like a pirate here, kitty, using a blade when needed. But at the end of the day, all of this could be just me. Do you respect her might? You probably didn't know she can fight this good on top of her fighting skill with her intangibility. That's a lethal combination with all this training. I mean, how do you even predict a fight like this where you punch through the door? That means this part has to be intangible, but this part is solid. You could be a way better fighter than her and still lose to her in a hand-to-hand fight because of this weird ability, but you have no choice but to respect her. I would personally say if you're not a magic user, a super soldier tier couldn't beat her in conventional means unless they have like weapons like special Deathstroke, Godslayer blades, or Black Panther intangible touching claws or something like that. You ain't gonna be able to get no advantage over her as a super soldier tier. Now, if you're a heavy hitter, beings that are resistant to intangibility like a powerhouse like Hulk could technically resist her intangibility to the point where she couldn't do too much damage to her, and she will eventually get tired of phasing if he keeps punching forever, right? Or it would just be a stalemate, right? But she could get advantages over beings that have way more destructive capacity than her. Like how Cyclops can blast away a planet, but she could technically get close to him and crush his heart if she gets close enough to him. You know what I mean? She's hacksy. But before I get going, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Appreciate the donations, everybody, and respect Katherine Pryde, Kitty Pryde. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.